Hey everyone, welcome to the Chequered podcast. I'm your host, Yellow Boy, and with me today is my co-host, Hugo. How's it going, mate?
Really good.
Great? Okay, so we're just going to talk about each of the teams, starting out with Williams, as you see on the screen now. They had a pretty good season, actually. No points, though, but they came so close on many different occasions. Hugo, how do you think Williams did in the 2020 season?
They went garbage.
Garbage. Oh, okay. Um, I think they could have gotten the point, of course, with George Russell and Imola. But of course, in 2022, their gearbox is going to be Mercedes, and they're going to strengthen that partner with Mercedes. So, how do you think it's going to go for them in the future, Hugo? Of course, we haven't seen their car yet, so.
Opinion is that they will do mostly like the other years, but they're going to be a little better.
Yeah, I feel like they can score points, mostly George Russell, and they'll have a pretty competitive season. We're not sure where each team will finish yet, and um, before we go deeper into this, I'm gonna say how this is gonna work. So every Monday, apart from this week, we're gonna have a podcast about something, whether it's about the Grand Prix before, about preseason, about just things happening in the motorsport world. Anyway, not that much is gonna change here in Williams. Their drivers are gonna stay the same. And on the technical side of people, of course, it's not going to change that much. However, I think there are rumors of Rich Energy coming back on the Williams car. So yeah, Hugo, who do you think is gonna score the points for Williams?
George Russell, because he is the better driver of the two, and yeah, he's the better driver.
Yeah, Latifi, of course, entering his second season in Formula One. I think he is gonna do better. It's just George is gonna have the measure over him. He's like 37-1 in qualifying. Only one person has beaten him. Only one teammate has beaten him in qualifying, and that is Valtteri Bottas in a Mercedes by less than half a tenth of a second. Anyway, now we're gonna head over to Haas, and a very interesting driver lineup between Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. Their 2020 was, I want to say, hindered by the bad Ferrari engine. Um, but you have to think that the Ferrari engine surely is going to get better, but the car overall is going to get a little worse. But anyway, Hugo, how do you think their 2020 was?
Ferrari's 2020 wasn't the
Haas,
best from
Haas,
what I've seen.
Haas, Haas.
But cut that.
Cut, cut. Yeah, okay. How do you think Haas's 2020 season was?
Uh, Bad because of many crashes, or not many crashes, but mostly the team isn't really good.
Yeah, they were struggling also. I think in like 2019 they were taking data instead of driver, like how the car feels, and it lost them a year in the championship and like a half a year gaining that back. So I for 2021 I think they're gonna go backwards, but Mick Schumacher is gonna score some points. Hugo, what do you think?
Yes.
And Nikita
I
Mazepin,
think
yeah, go for it.
I think Mick will score points, but not many. To the cause of the car isn't really good. We don't know yet. We haven't seen it, but it's probably going to be kind of bad.
We haven't seen it. And Nikita Mazepin, of course, joining because, of course, there's all of this hashtag we say out to Mazepin. I'm not really for it. I'm not against it. But when he is on it, he is a quick driver. That's what I'm trying to say. But it's just like you have to think about it. I'm not sure if his Formula 2 penalty points carry over to Formula 1 because he already has like 6. 6 more, and he's gonna get a race ban. So we might see Mick Schumacher and Pietro Fittipaldi in a race if Mazepin keeps on driving like he has in Formula 2. Mazepin, he probably won't score any points. He's gonna get beaten convincingly around the clock by Schumacher. I think you think the same.
Yes.
Yeah. Next team, Alfa Romeo. Alfa Romeo.
Well, Alfa Romeo's wasn't really the best
Uh,
considering the
eight
points and the
points.
drivers.
8 points, the best out of the last three. However, there's one thing I want to say. Their new car looks so good. So good. Basically, all they did is swap the red and the white, but it looks good. And I think that they're sticking with the same driver lineup. Giovinazzi entering his third season in Formula One. Kimi Raikkonen entering his almost 20th, I want to say. I think Kimi's going to retire at the end of the season. Their 2020 was points finishes. I think the best was 9th. But yeah, they were just there to pick up the pieces, and it got them P8 beating Haas and Williams. What do you think for their 2020, Hugo?
Their 2020 wasn't really the best. For the 2021 though, the car looks good. Considering the drivers, probably not so many points, or it depends for Raikkonen.
Yeah, I feel like Giovinazzi is going to start beating him. For 2021, as I said, he's going to start beating him. But I think we're going to expect more of the same for Alfa Romeo because of their 2022 regulations. So not much to talk about here in Alfa Romeo. Of course, as well, the Ferrari engine. So we will head on to BWT Racing Points. We're going in a little bit of the wrong order here, but they're gonna turn into Aston Martin with, I think personally, a more exciting lineup between Sebastian Vettel and Lance Stroll. Their 2020 was pretty good, actually, really good, considering the car looked like a Mercedes. They almost finished third. They have a lot of financial backing. They have the Mercedes engine. Do you think they can take it to McLaren in 2021 for third place?
They will easily, or not easily, but probably take it to McLaren because considering that the car looks pretty good and fast with Sebastian Vettel, they will be pretty high on the chart.
Yeah, and also you have to remember that the BWT part is gonna be gone forever. Probably everything else, like Lawrence Stroll, is gonna stay in Lawrence Stroll, but all of Perez's sponsor, Claro, JCB, as you see on the screen right there, all of those are gonna go. They're now on the Red Bull, which we're gonna talk about later. But I think that they will actually struggle to beat McLaren, and we'll get to that later. I think that they're gonna be quicker, but they're gonna beat McLaren at some occasions. But McLaren's just gonna have the consistency. Next,
I agree.
Alpha Tauri, good looking car as well, especially the front wing has changed so much. And they actually could have had the 2020 Red Bull, some of the parts, but they decided not to. They decided to use the tokens against them. Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda as a lineup. Their 2020 went amazing, I think. A win in Italy for Gasly. Me and Hugo went absolutely crazy. Of course, they're gonna keep Honda until 2025, I think the deal was. No, sorry, that's the AlphaTauri branding. Of course, they actually, at one point, they were close to overtaking Ferrari in the championship, but then Ferrari had a really good race in Turkey with third and fourth. Yeah, so how do you think their 2020 went?
I think their 2021 will be
No, how
mostly like
How went their 2020? How was their 2020 season?
Oh, it was average. Not really the best with what's the teammate driver called?
Kvyat?
Oh, Kvyat. He it didn't go really well for him, and then Pierre Gasly went good at Monza, but then it was average.
So I thought about it, and Pierre Gasly and Imola, he was in fourth until his car broke, sadly. And since Max Verstappen retired, the top three was Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen. He would have had another podium at Imola, but his engine said nope. For 2021, it is the midfield is so tight. I think, Hugo. What do you think of the midfield?
The midfield's going to be pretty tight between AlphaTauri, Race or Aston Martin, and if the Ferrari goes bad, the Ferrari.
Yeah. Of course, the Ferrari can change the engine, but they can't change much else because of the freeze. I mean, they can use their tokens, of course. But yeah, I think that Yuki Tsunoda and Pierre Gasly, and I think that is the third and final rookie, Yuki Tsunoda. So we have three rookies, all from F2: Mick Schumacher, Yuki Tsunoda, Nikita Mazepin. Very exciting lineup for them, I think. Next up, we're gonna talk about Alpine or Renault. Alpine in 2021. Anyway, Fernando Alonso joining the team. He won't be on it straight away. But him and Ocon are gonna clash a little bit, I feel like. Their 2020 went actually really good. They had a really weird front wing, but they finished fifth overall. They were they were in the fight for third, but then they just fell off in the second part. Oh, they were in it, but like they need a good race and they need a McLaren and Racing Point to have a bad one. Renault now being the only team with Renault engines, not sure if that's going to help them or not. How do you think their 2020 went?
Renault's 2020 went good, but same thing with AlphaTauri. Only one of the drivers were good. Daniel Ricciardo was good, but then Esteban Ocon
Well, to
got
be
his
fair,
first podium,
yeah,
and that was like all.
yeah, their 2021 with Esteban and Alonso, I think it's gonna go pretty much the same. I feel that they're gonna be more in a battle with AlphaTauri and Ferrari, or definitely with AlphaTauri, maybe with Ferrari. But it's gonna be Italy versus France, I think.
My opinion is that considering the two drivers, Esteban is gonna stay where he is like now, and then if uh, Alonso gets pretty good car, he would move higher up into the midfield, like sixth or fifth.
Yeah, six or fifth. That's yeah. Next up, McLaren, the big talk. Actually, let's talk about the 2020 season first. Amazing season. They had like 3 podiums all together. 2 for Sainz, 1 for Norris. Great consistency. I think Norris beat him. No, he didn't. Maybe Sainz had a lot of unluck in Russia. Where else? Austria and of like middle season. But Norris, he was amazing that season, I think. You go?
I agree.
Yeah, what do you think of their 2020 season?
The 2020 season for the McLaren went pretty good. They were on top of the midfield,
Yeah.
or yeah, they were on top of midfield, and then the drivers did.
But let's talk about the main thing, the Mercedes engine. And this is what I've been trying to say. Could
The Mercedes,
McLaren...
oh yeah, the Mercedes engine is going back to the McLaren.
Yeah, and
So
the rear end, it's much more like thin. It's much more slimmer, I noticed, or slicker. And here's the question. We have a lot of high-speed circuits. We have Monza, Belgium, Bahrain, Silverstone, all of those. And the Honda engine, we're not sure how good it is, but we know how good that Mercedes engine is. So I have a question. Could McLaren, and especially Daniel Ricciardo, be consistent podium fighters? Or could they even knock on Red Bull's door? What do you think?
I think that Mercedes and Red Bull will always be on the top in the top four. And Ricardo will be at least once in the top three. He will be fighting for the top three or the first or second, but not as much as Red Bull and Mercedes.
Yeah, but I feel like in some races, Red Bull having a bad race, or maybe like where the Mercedes engine is just awesome, or where the McLaren car is just flying, they could beat Red Bull. They could be knocking on the door, but we're gonna have to see until preseason testing to find out that. But anyway, Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris, the two jokers in the team, they're gonna do amazing, I think. What do you think?
I think they're gonna do pretty good, but I think that Ricardo is gonna do better than Norris,
Yeah, to be honest,
considering that Ricardo has more experience.
yeah, I think
Well,
he.
then you never know with Norris. He could do really good or really bad.
Yeah, Daniel Ricciardo joined F1 in 2011 and Lando Norris 2019. So that's 7 years, 8 years on Lando Norris, and about 9 in age or 10. Next car, Red Bull. Honda. Let's talk about their 2020 season. They were Max Verstappen just being second runner to Mercedes. Oh, it's third, maybe second if someone's having a bad race. Winning twice. Um. What else? Yeah, of course, Albon just being nowhere, to be honest. He's struggling, barely in the top six, and just not where Red Bull need him, and all of that. What do you think of their 2020 season?
No, Albon did kind of garbage considering that he has a really good car.
Mm.
Then he did better in 2019. And I think it's more the pressure like Gasly had. It's the pressure that he has with a
Yeah, the
big car, and
problem
then
is,
he.
I feel like it's the car. The car is for Max Verstappen. But then as well, Albon, like Gasly was there, sixth place. Mind you, that was when where Ferrari was in the top six consistently. And Gasly was just there, P6, P5, P4, there for Red Bull. Well, now, in such a competitive season, 2020 has been a great season for the midfield. Um, But Albon, he just struggled too much against Perez, Norris, Sainz, all of those guys that he was just outside the top six, which Red Bull really didn't need. But going into 2021, they of course have the same livery, yes, not the Aston Martin, but they have Sergio Perez. Now I think we're gonna see if that car is just built for Max Verstappen, or if Max Verstappen can just outdrive it extremely much. Because Perez, he's a great driver, I think. Hugo, what are your thoughts of the Perez Verstappen combination?
I think that the Perez Verstappen combination is gonna go pretty much like it's gonna be a lot of fights between them two, like on the track.
Interesting you say that, because I feel like Red Bull are gonna have Perez as like a strategy guy. Because last year, they like Mercedes could do whatever they want. Because Red Bull either had to pit with Verstappen or stay out. Because they didn't have Albon there to do it. I think Perez is just gonna be like Bottas's guide, and Verstappen's gonna be Hamilton's guide. I think that there are going to be team orders to let Verstappen buy because he knows the car, he knows everything. But can you imagine if he is on the podium or if he won the Mexican Grand Prix? Those fans are going to be crazy. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion to say on that one.
Okay, then we go to, I want to say the top two, but Ferrari, Carlos Sainz, and Charles Leclerc. The
I think
last.
that Charles will do good, but then Carlos is gonna struggle a little in the start or a lot, and then he will get used to the car and become really good with it.
Yeah, I feel like that. Carlos might serve a problem for Ferrari in terms. It's gonna be like when Leclerc joined. Carlos is a fast guy. He's really fast. And if he battles Leclerc, then Ferrari might have to do the good old what they did with Vettel and Leclerc in 2019. Um, we don't have to talk about the 2020 season. Abysmal. The engine was bad. The aero was bad. Leclerc outdrove it massively. I think that's all we have to say. 2021, they are gonna be fighting Renault and maybe even Aston Martin. What do you think of their 2021 season?
Uh, Ferrari.
Yes.
I think they're gonna be not as high as Red Bull and what's it called?
Mercedes.
Mercedes, because considering last year, people see them as more as a team that isn't as good as the others. But then you never know. They maybe did a really bad engine for 2020 and then a really good engine for 2021.
No, but you see, the problem is that they had an illegal engine in 2019. That was the problem. And, of course, we haven't seen the new Ferrari yet. But, yeah, I think that's all about it. Is it going to be as, like, such a diva of a car, I want to say? But anyway, Mercedes. Here we go. The reigning champions. There is nothing. But let's talk about their 2020 season. Domination. There were only 3 races where they did not win one race or one qualifying session when there was not a Mercedes engine on pole position. And that was with Max Verstappen, just so dominant. Hamilton, 11 wins. Bottas, 2. But how do you think their 2020 season went, first of all?
I think their 2020 season went as it usually did, always on the top with like 100 points at least.
Yeah.
Then it's like, yeah, then Lewis Hamilton had a few crashes with Albon, which maybe caused Albon to lose points, and then Lewis Hamilton having penalties, which he maybe shouldn't have gotten. But then it's like usual, they were on the top.
Yeah, but for 2021, you might think I'm crazy, but I have a small hinge. Bottas is going to give Hamilton a big old fight for his money, a big run for his money. He might not win it, but he's going to push Hamilton more like he did in 2019. What do you think of, first of all, what I said and their 2021 season?
Um, the 2021 season is for them. I don't think it's going to be as exciting, considering that all the other years they've won. Then you always think that they will win. It won't be exciting for the people, but then they are going to do good because they're a really good team.
Okay, final question to you. Do you think Bottas will give Hamilton a run for his money?
Um, Probably, maybe, because Bottas is good and
He
Hamilton.
just has to be on it, you know? He can't he has to work on his racecraft. He has to work on, fighting for the positions.
Agreed.
Yeah. But we covered all the teams. One more thing I would like to say is that 2021 brings the new tires. And I want to hear Hugo's predictions too. Maybe this team is going to struggle with tires, or this team is going to have really a good car for tire saving. This is just a random guess, but I have a feeling Mercedes are going to struggle with the new tires, while like Honda and Renault powered cars are gonna cause the Mercedes car has so much downforce, it's gonna run through its tires so much, and we don't know much about the tires for 2021 yet. But I feel like the Mercedes and not the Red Bull so much are gonna have tire issues because of the extreme amount of downforce and the engine. Meanwhile, Williams and all the Ferrari teams won't, because they don't have as much downforce and not a good engine. What do you think of that statement?
Yeah. I don't really know.
Of course, Mercedes are launching the car on the 2nd of March. I think Williams is the last team to launch. Anyway, do you want to do the outro, Hugo?
I'm good.
Okay.
Peace.
Guys, I hope you're gonna come to our next podcast. Please subscribe. Only 0% of our viewers are actually subscribed. It's crazy. It's a new YouTube channel. So please subscribe. Bye.